What will happen if Tinubu and Shettima are disqualified by the Supreme Court on Friday when they will deliver judgment on the issue of double nomination brought by PDP last year? The PDP brought this matter to court to ask the court to disqualify Shettima and Tinubu because at the time Tinubu nominated Shettima to be his vice presidential candidate, Shettima still had a senatorial nomination. And one of the judicial precedents that the PDP lawyers are banking on is the one where the Supreme Court disqualified Uche Nwosu of Imo State. That was in 2019, and many lawyers have argued that the two cases are not exactly the same. That in Uche Nwosu's case, he had the governorship nomination of the Action Alliance Party and also the governorship alliance of the APC. He had them the same time. So that the electoral law that the PDP are quoting, where it mentions the double nomination, that a primary election has to be involved before one can claim double nomination. Anyway, let's just assume that the Supreme Court will disqualify Shettima, which will ultimately affect Tinubu because it's a joint ticket. A couple of years ago, the governorship candidate of the APC in Bayelsa State, David Leon, was disqualified because his deputy had a problem with his certificate. It looks like he presented a fake certificate. So it ultimately affected the entire ticket. Now, let's get back to what will happen if Tinubu and Shettima are suddenly disqualified 3 days before the handover date. Nigeria just had a presidential election. The matters following the elections haven't been resolved. Election petitions are still pending in the courts. And if the presumed winner is disqualified 3 days to the handover date, that means if there's no one to take over from Buhari after May 29th, there will be a power vacuum. So what will happen? In this scenario, INEC will quickly retrieve the return certificate they issued Tinubu and issue same to Atiku Abubakar, who came second in the election. If the results of the elections aren't being contested, then naturally it will move to the second person without any problems. But because there is serious contest, it will lead to P2B and the Labour Party withdrawing their petition against Tinubu at the Election Petitions Tribunal in Abuja. Yes, that's what they will do. They will withdraw because he has been disqualified. He is no longer part of the election. But they wouldn't stop at just withdrawal of their petition. They will file a fresh one against Atiku Abubakar because he too didn't win the election. He might have gotten the 25% spread in Nigerian states, but he definitely did not get it in Abuja, which is part of his petition anyway. In his petition, he is asking the tribunal to declare the declaration of Tinubu null and void because he didn't score 25% in Abuja. So going by that logic, Atiku Abubakar is supposed to reject a certificate of return from INEC because having argued in his petition that one must score 25% in Abuja, that means it has disqualified him from being declared the winner according to his own petition. In any case that he does not reject it, other parties will go to court to stop INEC from issuing him a certificate of return that he did not win the election. INEC is not expected to hit that order even if a court is able to issue it within 24 hours because in this case, time will be of essence. 3 days before a power vacuum, everyone should be quick in all decisions they are making. So let's even assume that INEC will issue a certificate of return to Atiku. They did it before to Tinubu. They will want to consolidate on what they did earlier in order to make it real that 25% is not required. So let's assume that INEC will issue a certificate of return to Atiku Abubakar and other parties will go to court and the court fails to stop it before May 29th. He will be sworn in as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Before issuing Atiku a certificate of return, INEC will make a declaration that he is the rightful winner of the election after the court disqualified the presumed winner. So based on that, P2B and the Labour Party will have a fresh opportunity to go to a new presidential election petition tribunal that will be set up they will have a 21-day time frame to file a fresh petition against Atiku. There's another scenario that can play out. If INEC fails to give the return certificate to Atiku Abubakar before the May 29th handover date, that means there will be a power vacuum, and the executive branch will have to rely on the constitutional provisions, which says that the Senate President should take over power if number 1 and number 2 are not available. Yes, the framers of the Constitution had this in mind when they were drafting the Constitution. That's why the tenure of the senators and House of Reps members do not exactly start the same time as the executive arm. The new National Assembly members will be sworn into office in June, so the Senate President will assume limited powers and hold the office of the President, while the tribunal will resolve the election disputes to determine who won the election between Atiku and Peter Obi. In this scenario, they must produce a winner from the court, or a fresh election must be held, because the 3 months that the Senate President will be in office cannot be extended. Remember that the Senate President is not the substantial president. He was not voted. It's just to prevent power vacuum that he's there, and he's not there to start making budgets and doing projects or anything. He's just there to fill the power vacuum. If this scenario ever plays out, the tribunal and the courts must work very hard and fast. This time will not be time for unnecessary adjournments or whatever gimmicks. The time will be limited and hard fixed. It's nothing like the 180 days that the tribunal has and the 90 days that the Supreme Court will have in order to finish off the appeal. So the 3 months will be fixed. They must determine a winner on time, having in mind that if there is no clear winner from the tribunal, that there should still be enough time for a fresh election to be conducted, a rerun or just a fresh election proper. This is because if they do a cancellation of the election, that means fresh nominations will happen. Political parties will nominate fresh people to contest the election. Otherwise, if they declare a rerun election, that means the nominated candidates of different parties will participate, excluding the APC, which of course they've already disqualified their candidate. So in this scenario, if a rerun election is declared by the tribunal, that means only Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar will be on the ballot. But if they cancel the election and say no, this election violated many electoral laws and our constitution, thereby conduct a fresh one, that means political parties will go back and renominate candidates. It's like the entire past was cancelled. They will nominate candidates and they will go for a fresh election within the 3 months that the Senate President will be in power. When a new winner emerges, he will now take over from the Senate President. Alright, we will keep you updated on happenings surrounding the election, most especially the judgment of the Supreme Court coming up on Friday on the double nomination of Shettima. See you soon. Thanks for watching.
697, 698, 699.